Welcome back to the secret underground lair. Today we're going to be milling this cedar log. So this cedar log that I've got comes from a former power line pole. I'm kind of happy about this because it's going to be a nice dried out piece of lumber. I can actually use the lumber once this piece has been milled. It won't have to dry for any length of time. But you can see I've got quite a nasty crack through here. That crack goes all the way along to this end and goes up there. So you can see that it's kind of going, if you think of that as the face of a clock, we're maybe 2:30 where that goes off to the side, and on the other end it's probably about 3:30. So we have this crack that moves kind of down the log at a different pace. That probably means I'm going to wind up cutting out about a 2-inch section of the pith on this log. So as we come down to the other end, I'll show you where I've marked how I'm going to cut this. I'm going to flip it around end for end so these are visible, but I'm just going to take a skim off the top, then come down 1 1/4 inches until I get to the pith. Then I'm going to take out a 2-inch section of the pith, and that'll remove most of this crack. So this side of the pith is going to be useless. This side, I should be able to get something usable out of it. And then 1 1/4 inch pieces from there on. So I'm looking to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces about 1 1/4 inches thick, and then a couple little skims off the top and bottom. So I'm going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts with the log in this position, except switched end for end. I'm going to flip it over and do the other 3 cuts. Let's get started. All right, got our log mounted firmly in the braces, switched end for end so I have my marks on the far side to know where I want to cut. Dust collectors hooked up. Let's mill the sucker. Well, a couple observations of that cut. One, it was a little shallower than it probably should have taken. It could have taken a little bit more off it. Secondly, dust collection, although it's getting a little bit of dust, probably not getting enough. This is a long way from the dust collector. Possibly as I get a little bit closer, I might get more dust picked up by this. But we'll see what happens. I think we are picking up the very fine stuff. But I'll set up for another cut, bring you back when I'm ready. Come down 1/4 inch, make another little skim pass. That cut gave me what I really intended to do on the first pass, so I'm good. I'm going to drop down now 1 1/4 to get a 1 1/4 inch slab out of this. So that's actually 22 turns of my handle. 20 turns is 1 1/4, another 2 turns to cater for the 16th inch width of the blade. So I'll drop that down and let's make another cut. That's turning into a beautiful piece of cedar. The coloring on that is spectacular. I think we can use stuff like this. I should point out a couple other things I've observed here. One is the dust collector, although it's missing a lot of the coarser stuff, it is getting rid of a ton of the fine material that had previously been floating in the air, and reducing considerably the amount of sawdust that lands on the floor off the table. So what is on the table is less than what I had without the dust collector. And between passes, I can simply uncouple this and suck that stuff up, as you saw a minute ago. So I'm really pleased. All right, I'm gonna make another, drop it down another 1 1/4 inches, and let's make another cut. I can see I have a little bit of blade drift happening there. Not a lot, but a little bit. The other thing I want to point out is the handle and the crank that I've got here really works nicely. I'm super pleased with that. Let me get set up for the next cut. All right, we're going to make a next cut, coming down another 1 1/4 inches, but you can see we're going to get into this crack at this point. So this will come off probably about here, maybe a little lower. Then I'm going to flip the board over and start working the other side. Yeah, we don't want any of this crap. So make our next cut. I'm really pleased with the results and what's coming out of this wood. I also made a slight adjustment to the blade guides, particularly on the far side. It seemed to be off just a little bit, so I'm seeing let's see if that fixes our blade wander at all. Okay, so there's our nice cut. I'm happy. Oh, that's a good slab. So it looks like the adjustment to the blade guide did make a slight difference, slightly less wander. So that's good. I'm happy that made a difference. But I can't stress enough how much that handle and crank mechanism makes such a difference to getting the saw through the wood. There's so much less torsional shifting because we're now pulling from each side, and the leverage on the crank just makes it really easy to move the saw through the wood. All right, I'm going to flip the log over now, and we can start milling from the other side. All right, flip the log. I swapped out these clamps here for my low profile clamps and dropped these vertical bars down horizontal. Since we're now well past the point of this log rolling, all I need to do is kind of keep it horizontally stable. So that's what the clamps are doing at this point, just kind of keeping it horizontally stable. I dropped the saw blade down to take off probably about 3/16 to a ½ inch, or maybe a quarter to 5/16 actually, off of this. And then we'll take another 1 1/4 inch slab after that. Let's go cut. So the log had a little bit more of a taper to it than I expected. I'm learning. So I'm going to take a 5/8 slice off here, just for fun, and then we'll take a 1 1/4 inch after that. Just stopped here for a second to get you to notice how bent the blade is. Got a little more wander out of that cut, and I suspect it's because I was going a little bit faster than I had. It could be one. And two, it could be that the blade needs to be sharpened. So I think what I'm going to do is actually sharpen the blade. I should have done that before I started. And then I'll come back when I've got the blade sharpened, and we'll take a 1 1/2 inch, 1 1/4 inch cut off that next piece. All right, the blade's been sharpened. I've dropped the blade down 1 1/4 inches, so we'll take another slab off here. And for all those people that are real sawyers, I use the term slab a little loosely. So I just had my second thermal cutoff on this attempt to come through the slab, and what I can see is I'm getting some significant blade drift here, and the blade is actually getting warm. So there is a problem here, and I'm going to have to address it, but I'm going to go have some lunch first and come back and figure this out. All right, I figured out the drift problem. Really simple. I was going too fast. So I made another cut just to, starting out at the same place where I had started at the last cut. And I had drifted up almost 5/8 of an inch over the course of the cut. So I started again and just went really, really slow, and that has come out absolutely perfect. So speed is the problem. It's really easy to go too fast with the crank. However, it is also really easy to be consistently slow. So it just takes a little bit of practice, I guess, but I think I have it, and I know a speed that'll work, that's for sure. It may be too slow, but you know, it works. So I'm going to set up now to do another 1¼ inches. I do see that I have a little bit of a problem here in that on this side, to go down another 1¼ inch, I now have a problem with my rope here hitting the dust collector. The dust collector would almost give me the room that I need. So I might just give it a try. Let's see what happens. So bringing the blade down, in fact the saw down another 1¼ inch, brings it down a little bit too low. It's actually going to start hitting, the guides are going to start hitting my cross members that support the log. So what I'm going to have to do is lift the log up a little bit and then bring the saw down, not as much. So let me get some blocks underneath this and we'll be set up for the next cut. All right, I've raised the log 3/4 inch and dropped the blade 1/2 inch. So that'll give us the 1¼ inch cut that we need to make. And I'm gonna put this on a fast forward because I am cutting very slow. Well, that was a little unexpected, but bam, we had a blade break. I'll have to take a look at what might be causing that, but obviously things to learn. One thing I have observed is that the flaps on this wheel, I need to glue them down a little bit better, just the edges. It's holding fine on the face of the wheel, but loose here. All right, let me take the blade out. It's not stuck, so it looks like it was a very clean break. Get that blade out and have a look at what went wrong. So in pulling that blade out, I noticed that this little guide here, I think I might have over-tightened this guide block. And this might have been causing just a little bit too much tension on the blade. Of course, it just could be a tired blade. It was a very cheap blade. It was a $35 blade. So, however, I'm happy that I didn't buy a $100 blade because, as I'm learning and I'm cutting through crappy wood, I wouldn't want to risk it. So I'm probably going to go order another one of those exact blades and we'll get that in. I can also see that I have a little bit of an issue with the blade guard on this side. It seems to have drifted in a little bit, so I'm going to make an adjustment there. That may be contributing to some blade wear as well. So I'll make those little adjustments, fix that, glue this ear down or the rim of the tire back down, and we'll get a new blade. So I've ordered a new blade, actually 2 blades for the Worktable Sawmill, but it occurred to me after thinking on this for a second that the blade guard did exactly what it was supposed to do. So when the blade broke, everything stayed contained within the guard. So perfect. Hey, it works. Very happy. So I'll be back when I've got, I'll be back actually tomorrow. We'll fix up this wheel and get that side of the blade guard aligned. And as soon as the blades arrive, we'll put them on.